Hello, CIS30A. In this video, I'm going to address number 15 in Lab 3. I saw that many of you have struggled with the instruction for this particular exercise, so I wanted to clarify on how to be able to come up with a solution for this particular exercise, number 15. You're given a dictionary, PROD, P-R-O-D, and in this dictionary, we have strings. Here's the key, tomato, and its value is red. So we have a string and a string here. And as any kind of container, you would need to be able to loop through the container in order to access the element. So a dictionary is in Python is treated as a nested list. So you would have to use a for loop to access first its key, second, its value. So that will be the first part of this, is to write a function that would consist of a for loop to display the key and the value for all the elements in that dictionary. The second part is to use the built-in methods, globals and locals, to be able to display the container details. We wanted to see if it's a global container or is it a local container. So to go to the script for this, we have first define the dictionary as given to us in the question. So I have prod, and then I would know that it is a dictionary as it is a curly brace, and then we would have the key and its value inside that container, and we enclose that with a curly brace. Then we would address part A. So for part A, we want to use a for loop to be able to access the key and their values. So we would first define a function. Here I would use the keyword def to start the function definition. I give it a name, and you can choose any name you want, but you want to make sure that it represents your task. So I want to say show prod, and in its argument, the parameter here is going to be the dictionary itself. So prod is going to go inside the parentheses here, and I would finish that out with the colon. In the body of this function, I want to indent in, and I want to have a for loop. And this is a for loop to access, again, our key and our value. So as it would be treated as a nested list, we would first use the I to access the key and the J to access the key's value. So we would say for I, J in prod, which is our container, our dictionary. And Python has an items method to be able to access the content of a container. So you simply use prod, and then we would use a dot items. And since it's a for loop, we also have to include a colon. Then in the body of that for loop, we want to be able to print out, and that's what the question asks us, is to print out the key and its value. So print, and to format this, we would say, okay, that will be the key from the dictionary and the value from the dictionary, and we would format it. And the way that we treat the key is going to be the index, and same thing with its value as the index. So we are using the indices to be able to access the container this way. Then after we had finished out the body of the for loop, we wanted to tap back, and we want to call this function as we previously defined. So I call the function by using show prod, which is its name, and then its argument. So that would wrap up part A. Then for part B of the exercise, we would then need to use locals and globals, and that's pretty easy. You can have it print locals, print globals. And I know I saw some of you did this because you got that from the lecture, but I think that I wanted to go over this so that way you would have the complete exercise. So when we run this program, let's pull this up. we would see that in the first round of the for loop, it shows us tomato red, which is the first key and the value here. In the second round, it's going to show the yellow squash, third round potato, and so on. Then we had use, so that would take care of this part of our script. Then we would use the locals and the globals. So here we would show, it shows us that this is going to be located at, this is the memory address and the content of the dictionary. So it tells us that it's a namespace. This is going to be the location. So all of this is just going to be accessing it to tell us which file, where is it located, and so on. So in the case where you're using a lot of different modules, packages, and so on, you can identify your container this way using globals and locals. Then when we use globals, it also tells us here that it is in show prod at that location, and it shows us what that module would be like and how the container would look like. So comparing this to this, as you notice that we don't have any kind of local variable or container inside the function, it doesn't really differentiate. It just tells us the same location twice as it print locals and globals. And it's using a container that would be treated as a global. It just tells us where that's located. So it simply just shows us the location. And the point in this is to be able to use the method like this to identify which file, which package, or which module has a certain container and where that's located and where in the memory it's located. Okay. And so I hope that this clarifies exercise 15. Let me know if you have further questions regarding this particular exercise or the content of the class. Thank you for watching this video.